Welcome back to our YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning to the show. We really value your support. Let me begin by asking you a question. How do you rate Ruto in the manner in which he handled the flood disaster? I'm asking this because very many people are criticizing the UDA government, and I have seen people trying to compare President Ruto and the former president Uhuru Kenyatta. They're saying that under Uhuru Kenyatta, we had two disasters. Some people are calling it plagues. We had the corona virus, the corona pandemic that really killed people. And we had the locust disaster. It may not sound like a disaster to you because maybe it didn't reach you, you didn't lose a relative or a friend, but you could see how it was really ravaging, and you saw the locust. People still remember the cabinet secretary for health, Mutai Kagwe, and they still remember if we treat this disease normally, it will treat us abnormally, and the rallying calls to be careful and all that, and the money that was pumped into doing 1, 2, 3. And they're looking at William Ruto, and some are saying that William Ruto's handling of this disaster falls way the standard that are accepted in a government that is serious. Today, that became an issue in Parliament, in the Senate actually. And Edwin Sifuna, the Senator of Nairobi, and the Nandi Senator, Cherargei, clashed in Parliament because Edwin took an issue with the president over a rally that really ended in disarray. People didn't attend yesterday when President Ruto went to Mathare, and he told people what he wants to do.
Wapatia pesa ya kutafuta mahali ya kurent for the next 3 months wakati serikali inapanga vile mambo yenu itashughulikiwa. So every household of the 40,000 households that have been displaced in Nairobi County, every household is going to be paid 10,000 shillings so that they can find alternative accommodation as we plan for their future as a government, so that every Kenyan has a home and a place to call home. Tumeelewana? Na nimesema hiyo pesa haitakuliwa na mabwenyenye. Wale watu wakijaribu hiyo Kiswahili watakutana na mimi. Nimewaambia wakora na wafisadi na wezi, mambo yao ni matatu. Nyinyi mnanielewa? Tumekubaliana? Jambo la 4, nataka munisikize tena kwa makini. Sawa sawa? Hii riparian reserve yote hii riparian reserve yote, mahali wananchi wameondoka. Sasa tutakuwa na mpango, ile niliwaambia, mpango ya housing ambayo itasaidia sisi. Hawa wananchi wanaishi katika slums, na tuko na wananchi zaidi ya milioni 7 Kenya wanaoishi katika slums kama hizi. Na ndio nilisema lazima tuwe na mpango ya serikali, na ndio nikaanzisha hazina ya housing. Watu wengi walikuwa wanapiga kelele, lakini mimi nataka niwaambie hivi, kupitia hiyo mpango ya affordable housing, hiyo hazina ambayo tumeanzisha sasa hapa Kiamaiko, hawa watu wametoka hapa. Wiki hii tunatangaza kandarasi ya kujenga nyumba 5,000 ambayo itafaidi watu ambao wametoka hapa, wao wataenda kuishi kule. Nyinyi mnanielewa? Kule Kibira tunaweka nyumba 5,000. Hapa Kasarani Mwiki tunaongeza nyumba 10,000. Wiki hii peke yake tunatangaza ujenzi wa nyumba 20,000 ambayo itasaidia watu wa Nairobi ambao wanaishi katika vitongoji duni kama hii, ili tuhakikisha kwamba every citizen anaishi mahali kuna heshima, mahali kuna maji, mahali kuna stima, mahali kuna usafi. Ndio tuwache wananchi wetu wasiishi katika makao kama haya ambayo yanabebwa kila wakati na mafuta.
And Edwin says that The president should have been telling the people of Madare what he has done and not what he should do.
Mr. Speaker, allow me to inform the Honorable Mungatana that in fact the announcement by the President yesterday was on plans that his government is intending to put in place to help the people of Nairobi, and this is coming 2 weeks after people have been moved from their houses, after their houses have been washed away. I was extremely disappointed, Honorable Speaker, that instead of coming and addressing the people of Mathare about what the government has already done, the head of state was talking about things that he's going to do. Where does he think these people have been living for the past 2 weeks? Mr. Speaker, this rain in Nairobi started beating
What is
us.
your point of order, Senator Fernandez?
Mr. Speaker, I rise under fourth schedule on devolved functions, and also section 148 is it of the Public Finance Management Act. Is it a standing order number 1 and 105 if you want the standing orders? Mr. Speaker, is it in order for my brother Senator Edwin Sifuna to mislead the House, yet issues of disaster and emergency under the budgeting process by the PMF Act, at least 2% of that money should be allocated fighting disasters, Mr. Speaker? The point I'm trying to make is that the issue of handling disaster preparedness is not an exclusive function of national government. What Senator Sifuna should be telling the nation is what is the Nairobi City County government has done. Mr. Speaker, in fact, the national government only come to supplement, Mr. Speaker. So is it in order what Senator Sifuna should be telling the nation, what have they done as a county government to address the challenges while we sympathize and empathize with the people who have been affected in this city? What have they done as Nairobi City County on their 2%? And Mr. Speaker, sir, it is...
I will absolutely insist on that line, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, if you protect me from this frivolous points of order, I was actually going to tell you what the county government has done. But I was expressing my disappointment. Mr. Speaker, this rain in Nairobi started beating us seriously on the 20th of April. By the 24th of April, we, the leadership of Nairobi, were calling for the national government to declare this a national disaster because our own county was overwhelmed. I hear people parroting about 2% of the resources of the county being directed to the disaster account. It's not as if county governments receive all the money that is allocated to them by this House and then separate 2% and put it in their account. As we speak right now, if you are a serious person who follows devolution, you know that the county governments have not received money since January. The equitable share of county governments has not reached the counties from January. So, Mr. Speaker, when you hear somebody talk about 2%, 2% of what? You should talk about 2% of money that you have put in the accounts of the county governments. Mr. Speaker, my disappointment is in the fact that from the 24th of last month, people have been sleeping outside. Then you come and tell us that you're going to give 10,000 shillings to the affected households. We have lost over 10,000 households, Mr. Speaker. Where do you think these people have been sleeping? That is my disappointment, and I want to dissuade Honorable Mungatana. Don't wait for Ruto's money. It's not coming for your people. Mr. Speaker, as I speak right now as a senator of Nairobi, I can confirm that no money has reached the people of Nairobi from the national government. So don't tell us about 2%.
If you listen to William Ruto, then you can safely conclude together with Edwin Sifuna that indeed the president was not serious. If you are in his position, you know it is very easy to criticize. But if you are in his position or you are in the position of advising the president, what would you do? What would you advise him? And that's what I want us to look at here, so that we don't just seem to be taking political sides. The president, according to me, messed up. And before we look at the weaknesses and the nuts that he needs to tighten, allow me to request you to subscribe to our channel if you're watching for the first time. Click the notification bell if you love our show, so that whenever we release a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. Continue supporting the channel in whichever way you can. Now, the president seems to be very reactive rather than being proactive. You know, they are now demolishing houses. Some of them are not even houses, shanties. It's very pathetic. And they're demolishing them, and rightly so, because if the rivers will continue breaking their banks, then these people's lives are in danger. But the problem is that they should have done this long time ago. The meteorological department is always paid by taxpayers' money, and they warn in advance, as they say in the Kenyan language, mapema ndio best. So once we have been warned, it is upon the government to do the evacuation when there is time. You see, right now it is very cold. Some families have got young children, babies in the house. There is no food. And you know, when they come, they don't even allow them to collect a few things that they have. I had a certain mama saying that the birth certificate of my children have been destroyed in the house. You see, that means that when they settle down, she'll have to go through the Huduma number looking for the birth certificate again. So they should have evacuated them. You simply alert them and you give them time. If they don't, then you now forcefully do it, but you give them time before this moment. That's why I'm saying that the nature of being reactive is not best, and it's not the best practice. He went there, and 2 weeks down the line, he's telling them what he wants to do. And I would rather he would have told them, this is what we have done. We still have the nature of William Ruto, the DP who wanted to become a president. Tumetenga, tutatenga, tutafanya hivi. How I wish that our president would now recollect himself, his senses himself, so that he stops campaigning. He stops saying tumetenga. You should not even, you should lie in times of disaster. It does not give you, don't take political mileage. It does not help. He's already the president, undisputed, whether by hook or crook is the president. So it is understood that he lied because he wanted to become a president. But now he's already the president. He should not be playing this kind of cheap politics. Number two, whenever you visit a people who have been affected by a calamity such as that, you need to be realistic to their feelings and be empathetic. Show empathy. Stop telling people about the housing, affordable housing, and what. You see, he was campaigning. Whenever he sees an opportunity, he seizes it and he wants to campaign for 2027. I mean, there will be time for campaigns. And I've always said that if I were advising the president, I would tell him, just implement what you promised Kenyans. That will be enough for you, so that when you seek for re-election in 2027, your actions and what you've done will speak for you. He lacked empathy, if you ask me, and he was in a campaign mode, which to me I didn't like. The other thing is that they are not providing the devolved finances in time. Edwin Sifuna is saying, Cheregai was saying there that, you know, there is a 2% that must be dedicated to disaster management. Edwin is asking 2% of what? As we speak, we know that there is a lot of corruption within Nairobi. Maybe that one is not even there. And then William Ruto is not releasing the money to the county level on time. You've seen the Council of Governors, when they are together, they're crying foul. The county governments have always said that due to the delayed devolved money, some of the operations within the county levels have stalled. They have been taken to court. Bills are not being paid. Workers are demoralized. And so, as a president, when he realized that we were approaching this kind of disaster, he would have done better. Because now, even if you tell the county, how do you want them to handle this situation? Number two, where is the disaster management fund? Something tells me it has been eaten. The money in which William Ruto is giving information is one thing. He's playing jokes too much when we are dealing with serious matters. William Ruto told us that he had prayed to God, and that God told him there would not be this El Nino and this kind of heavy rainfalls. Do you know that William Ruto is an opinion shaper? Just like Raila and all these leaders, what they say sometimes is alpha and omega. When he said that there will be no rains, some people took it seriously, and therefore there were no precautionary measures. And then other counties and some people just took away that money. When you know you are dealing with a serious matter, you can put jokes aside. I know they've been playing around a lot with the word of God. They want to be, anytime they want to be relevant, they will, push in the Bible and the Word of God there. They did it during the campaigns when they labeled Raila Antichrist, and they convinced the church and persuaded them that they were sent by God. But right now, he needs to be very careful. As a president, there's a way he should carry himself. Information that he gave is now coming back to haunt him, coming Kenya and haunting Kenya. I don't know what you think, but I believe Edwin Sifuna was right, and that is the real reason, the main reason why people did not even attend the Mathare rally. They knew the president would be there with Tumetenga, what we want to do. No, it is that time we know what they have done. And if you feel that he has done so much, then there is need to improve, because people are really dying. In a proper and structured government, this should have not happened. Mnapanga mapema so that by the time kuna mafuriko, already you've got structures in place. And on this, I stand with Sifuna. I don't know what you think, but that's my take.